special guest. Right, welcome back to Froome FM. You're with me, Merryweather, until 6:30. With me today, I do have a special guest, and that special guest is Matt Ottold. Hello, Matt.
Hi there.
Hi. And you're in to talk to us about gay and lesbian youth, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Excellent. Do you want to start by telling us about the organisation that you work for?
Okay, I work for a charity which is based down in Taunton. It's called Somerset Gay Health, and basically this is kind of our mission statement, to promote safer sex within the gay community in Somerset, including health promotion work around HIV, AIDS, STIs, mental health, physical well-being, to challenge and reduce homophobia and advocate on behalf of the gay community, to encourage self-help groups with the support of the organisation, to reach difficult and marginalised groups, ultimately to build a healthy gay community. I've been doing the job for 2 years now. I am their specialist youth development worker, and we also have an adult development worker as well.
Right, so with that list that you gave, you've got a really big job.
Yeah, it's massive, and although it's based in Taunton, I'm a county-wide youth worker, so I've got the whole of Somerset to look after, pretty much, which, if anyone that's driven around Somerset will understand, it's a huge county.
It is massive, massive. So that's where you work. I want to start by looking at some of the issues around gay and lesbian youth, and actually work at a word that you said to me earlier, which I'm sure that maybe some of our listeners may not be familiar with. Now, you work with gay and lesbian youth, but you also work with transgender youth.
Yeah, that's correct. The term that is often read about in the papers or maybe on the internet or on news is LGBT, and that just simply stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and that's kind of been the term used now most commonly within the gay community, just to encompass everyone, really.
Okay, and thinking about the community, and we do know that youth are sort of on that turnaround of being more accepting of differences, but as it stands right now, how accepting do you think the community is about gay, lesbian or transgender youth?
I think things are getting better every year. They're still not great. It's still not equal for equal. And if we look at some of some figures that have been released by national companies like Stonewall, for example, these figures were based in 2003, and 82% of LGBT youth were verbally abused in schools within the last 5 years. 65% of LGBT youth people have been physically attacked in schools in the last 5 years. 99% of schools have an anti-bullying policy, yet only 6% of those recognise homophobic bullying within that policy. Again, I want to stress, these figures are based on 2003, and there has been more research done since, but it just shows it's still not great to be a young LGBT person within a school environment.
So essentially, breaking down all of that, what you're saying is, as a gay, lesbian or transgender youth, school's not really the best of places, and it's not really the best time of their lives, and they're still not being nurtured as they should be.
No, the support isn't there, it's not being recognised, and it's sad to say a lot of teachers just turn a blind eye to it. I don't know if many of the listeners are aware, but it's very common now in the playground, in schools, even in your workplace, in the pub. It's very common to use, "Oh, that's so gay," and using that in a negative, derogatory way. It's very commonplace, and that's one of the battles that we're trying to fight at the moment, just to turn this around. It's not something that we should be accepting, because if your friend is gay and you're hearing this and all the time within schools, it's just going to knock them down even more and make them feel like they definitely can't come out or face their problems and stuff.
It's the negative associations with that word, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gay seems to be a replacement for something stupid,
yep,
or something boring, or something not quite right.
And it's not just here in Somerset, it's throughout the UK, and it's a real big problem. It's just escalated. And I was watching a film over the weekend, Cabin Fever, and even American directors are using that term in their films, and if they're using it, then what kind of image is that going to give off to other people? It's very wrong.
Absolutely. Now, thinking about on this sort of school line, is the experience of school different if you're gay, lesbian? We talked about the idea that they're not, well, most don't feel that they're fully accepted, and that there is a lot more that can be done in schools. But what do gay and lesbian and transgender youths need in schools?
They need to know that it's okay to be who they are. They don't have to hide that everyone's going to be willing and accept it, and just accept it that it's not anything that needs to be worried about. If you're friends with a gay person, that doesn't make you gay. It doesn't mean you're going to be turned gay or anything like that. It's just needs to be norm, basically. There needs to be support, just like there is support for every young person that has issues and difficulties around racism, perhaps, or something. There needs to be that support within every school and college. And as far as I know, the work that I've been doing for the last 2 years, there just isn't that support. We wouldn't necessarily say don't come out of school, but just realise if you are going to come out of school, just realise the problems that you might face by doing that.
Interesting. Picking up on the point that you said, if you hang out with somebody who's gay, lesbian, or transgender, it doesn't make you gay or lesbian.
No, definitely not.
When we were off air, I was telling you a story, Matt, about growing up, and one of my best friends actually came out as being a lesbian quite early on. I think it was about year 10, and I used to spend a lot of time with her, and because I was hanging out with this young woman who was a lesbian, and an open lesbian, which she was very, very brave to do, my parents, who are completely accepting and lovely, assumed that I was gay as well, and were quite accepting of it, but never spoke to me about it. And I only found out sort of 20 years on that, well, not 20, but sort of, I'm not that old, but about 10 years on, that at that point they did think that I was a lesbian as well, which is interesting.
Yeah,
so
very.
It's a lot of the older culture, a lot of
it's the older generation. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, which just because you're gay, lesbian, or transgender, it doesn't make you any less human, it doesn't make your feelings any different, does it?
Unfortunately, it's sad to say, a lot of people get their views from their parents, and if their parents are very homophobic, then they're going to withhold those views themselves. Unless they meet someone that can change and challenge those views, then it's quite sad to say they will probably hold those views. And it's just that older generation that, don't want to belittle the older generation because they're fab, but they just need their eyes opening sometimes, and there's nothing wrong with being LGBT. It's perfectly normal. I understand people have religious views against that. That's a whole different ball game that I don't want to get into, because I'm not going to challenge that, but you just need to realise that everyone has the right to be themselves. As long as it's not doing any harm to themselves or to anyone else, then...
I'm going to ask you an interesting question, which you don't have to answer
Sure.
at all. But is being gay, lesbian, or transgender a choice?
I wouldn't say it's something that you wake up in the morning and go, hey, do you know what, say, I'm going to be gay. There's been a whole debate whether it's nature, nurture. Are you brought up? Is it something that your parents do? Is it the environment that you're around? Or is it something within your genes? I would like to believe, and what I've heard, most of the gay community would believe it's something that you are born with. It's something that would probably predominantly come out when you are going through your adolescence, through your teenage years, and you start thinking...
When those hormones start kicking
exactly,
in.
when those hormones kick in that we all hate, but it's pretty much identified as... But then again, other times people come out when they're like 30 and 40, and there's different arguments about it, but most commonly in the LGBT community, they would accept that it's something that you're born with. It's not something that you are forced to become, or something that you choose to do overnight or anything.
I've spoken to, I have a number, it sounds like such a cliche, I have a number of friends who are gay, lesbian and transsexual, but speaking to people, I've often heard, if it were a choice, why would I choose to make life more difficult for myself? I wouldn't choose to do that. Exactly.
When you're going to face prejudice and homophobia, why would you wake up and think, hey, I really want to be attacked, I want to get beaten up? Why would you choose that way of life? Don't want to scare anyone that's wanting to come out or is going to that is gay, but everyone knows it is a difficult process to go through, especially at a younger age where people aren't so mature and can't accept new ideas. It gets better as you get older. I like to hope, I can't guarantee, but I like to believe it does get better as you get older, especially it did for me. But yeah, definitely as a young age it is difficult. But what's really surprised me through doing this work, more and more people are coming out at a younger age, which has really surprised me. So maybe things are starting to change within schools and colleges, and I'm getting referrals that are like from kids that are age 13, and that really surprised me because I wouldn't dream of coming out myself when I was 13 because of the way that school and colleges were.